Good evening, and I'd like to reconvene our board meeting for this evening to open session. Welcome, everybody. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? The flag is right behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And we need to approve the agenda. Can I have a motion? And
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. We are going to have now a presentation from the West County activists, but I would like to make a little clarification statement if I can. So everybody understands our process and knows how we're going to move forward. First of all, I would like to thank the Activist Club for presenting tonight. We support your efforts to make our schools more accepting for all the students. I'd like to clarify the board's decision-making process and apologize for any confusion or misunderstanding. First, a proposal is brought in front of the board, and after the school community has had a chance to comment on that proposal through email or public comment, and the board has had a chance to review the proposal, consider the concerns and get legal advice if needed, the board then places the proposal as a discussion and possible action item for the next board meeting. We then make a decision or get more information if needed. This process fulfills a promise that we made to the school community to be more thoughtful and inclusive. I want to apologize for the questionable advice our activist club apparently received from Trustee Ramirez to forego their presentation last month and send us a letter instead. Unfortunately, this prolonged our process and deprived you of presenting your proposal, which I'm sure will garner a lot of support. I am guessing a discussion of why Trustee Ramirez felt the need to circumvent our process will be of interest to our board members. But anyway, I am happy you're here tonight so we can proceed with our process, which will hopefully lead to a positive conclusion. Please come make your presentation. And could you please state your names for us too?
Is it on now? Okay. My name is Sabine Walper. I'm a junior.
I'm Aziza Gray. I'm a senior.
Thank you for that clarification. So according to policy 6115, the board may authorize the display of symbolic flags or banners in support of specific awareness months through the adoption of a resolution. This policy acknowledges the importance of commemorating events of cultural or historical significance and the contributions of outstanding individuals in society. Therefore, if the display of the Progress Pride flag aligns with a celebration of a specific awareness month or a similar event recognized by the board, it could be authorized under this policy. By these legal standards, we are proposing that the Intersex Progress Pride flag be displayed on May 22nd, Harvey Milk Day, the month of June, Pride Month, and October, Pride History Month. This, just so you can have a visual.
Initiative is supportive of our Portrait of a Graduate principles. Communicators and collaborators. It encourages open communication and collaboration within the school community about diversity and inclusivity. Curiosity. It fosters a curiosity about different experiences and challenges, including those faced by the LGBTQ+ community. Empathy. The resolution's emphasis on understanding, accepting, and advocating for the LGBTQ+ community demonstrates empathy, respecting diverse values, opinions, and lifestyles. Resilience. The commitment to annual review and adjustment of initiatives reflects resilience, learning from experiences to improve the inclusivity of the school environment. And balance. It promotes a well-balanced understanding of diverse communities, contributing to a more well-rounded educational experience.
We know how important community support is to you, and while we weren't able to have a lot more students here with us tonight, seeing as it's a school night, we did start a petition for community to show their support, and we currently have over 200 people that have signed in the last week, which we can provide that list to you if you so wish. Thank you.
I want to remind the board, this is not a discussion item, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them right now. Anybody on the board have a question?
Sure, and I'll answer your question, and it also kind of feeds into some of the questions that I have for you too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this time. To clarify, I did receive outreach from Aziza about the item being put on not as an action item last month, and with some deep frustration, not only, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, not only on this topic, but I've heard from a number of students that they feel like speaking to the board sometimes or ever isn't effective. Students have expressed to me over more than the past year that they don't feel heard.
Can I stop you just for a second? Respectfully, I would appreciate your comments during the discussion item next month, but this is just for
Sure.
questions for the kids, if you
Well,
could.
you asked the question about why I recommended sending the letter. So Aziza reached out, very upset at not at having been trying to ask what seemed like a pretty simple request since December, and asked me why is this just a presentation item? It's hard for our group to come out on a school night. We have homework, we have jobs, we have athletics, and felt sort of like it was not in respect of our time and the time of the student activists. And
Well, if you have problems with our process, we can discuss that, which I think we already did during our governance meeting. But right now, I would really like to limit it to questions. If you
yes, I just
please-
want to answer your question about
we
the
can discuss that
recommendation.
next time. Please ask
that I
the
made.
students any questions you might have.
Well, I want to, you brought this up, so I just want to clarify that my recommendation wasn't out of the blue. It was in response to a feeling that there are a lot of hurdles that students
Debbie,
are
I
being
think
asked.
you're way out of line here. I'm absolutely astounded that you even interjected yourself into the conversation with these students in the first place and encouraged them to not follow our process. I'm befuddled, absolutely shocked and dismayed.
Okay, I
So we're
would
gonna-
like
Wow.
to
So it's
limit,
gonna,
I would like
get
to
back
limit
to
to
process.
question. Do you have a question for our students?
do you feel like for items, because this was announced only as a student activist presentation, you're asking right now about a flag. Do you feel like this is a welcoming place for you to come? I feel like our students are the whole reason that we are here. We have a lot of ancillary work that we have to do to keep the district running. But when a student group puts together such a profound and succinct ask, my question to you is how does that make you feel that that you don't get to actually bring that forward and have us make a decision for you?
I mean, like speaking for myself, just with the entire process thing, I understand that there's like legality behind it, and you guys aren't allowed to like discuss anything outside of these meetings, and you need this time together to really like process and understand what people are asking of you. But with that being said, I don't feel like there was a clear statement at the very beginning of our communication about how the process really worked. And so from our side, it kind of felt like we were just being put off over and over. So I feel like moving on in the future, if you really want students to like feel like this is a safe place for them and they can come and voice their concerns and ask things of you. Maybe like just make it clearer, maybe posters on campus or just a like regular email or something telling students how they can be here, how they can get on the agenda, like the process for it, because it really wasn't clear.
Again, I apologize for the mixed messages. I hope that I made it a little bit clearer tonight, and thank you so much. You did a great job presenting.
Yeah, just
And
a
we
second.
have any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
So what flagpole and where are you exactly seeing the flag being flown?
Well, there is the main one out front. There are also 3 flagpoles in the quad, and I know that one of them doesn't have, or at least I haven't seen anything on one of them. But either one of those flagpoles or the flagpole in the front of the school for those designated signs.
Thank you so much. We
And
really
so-
appreciate it. We have a couple comments about this particular proposal.
I have one more follow-up question about the resolution, because in your last correspondence, you sent us a draft resolution, and you mentioned in your report that policy 6115, ceremonies and observances, allows the board through the adoption of a resolution to authorize the display of symbolic flags or banners in support of specific awareness months. So we do already have that in our school district policy. So you have you've provided us a draft resolution, and I would hope that as a governance team, we could bring that forward so that we can have this discussion, because we can't have it outside of these board meetings. That is a Brown Act rule. And so we have to put something on the agenda, and then we can have a public conversation about it, and then we can either grant it and approve the resolution or not approve the resolution. So that's how the process works.
Which is exactly what we will do next month. And after our community has a chance to email us or contact us with their concerns and opinions. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. And Krista Mason. Up here, please. Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you very much for your presentation. That was great.
I'm trying my hand at civic engagement, so please bear with me. This is a little, I haven't done this in a while. Hello, everyone. My name is Krista Mason. I live in Sebastopol, and I am a mom of 3 children who will be future students at Annalee. I'm here to show support for Annalee Student Activist Club, who would like to fly a pride flag on the high school campus. When I read the write-up about the last board meeting in the Sebastopol Times, I was surprised to see the way the student activists were treated. You've addressed some of that. That's great. For starters, the letter wasn't read at the meeting. Next, the student's reasonable request to fly a flag wasn't really addressed. We've covered some of that. Finally, one of the board members suggested flying the pride flag would lead to other requests like flying the Confederate flag or the vegan flag. No wonder the student activists might hesitate to address the adults in power when things like that are said. It's a false equivalency to compare the pride flag and the Confederate flag. One flag, the pride flag, represents awareness, acceptance, and inclusion. The other flag, the Confederate flag, represents slavery, oppression, and secession. One flag represents an active student body seeking visibility and support at the high school and is highly relevant, and the other flag is irrelevant. I don't need to go on. The board knows which flag is which. After reading that article in the Sebastopol Times, I researched why each of you wanted to be on the board. I saw a lot of statements of your desires to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout the school district. And I saw statements that indicate that the board wants student input when it comes to making decisions that affect the entire school community. If all of you would like to create an inclusive and safe environment at the school for the students you serve, you can start now. There is guidance, new guidance out there for precisely this issue. Recently, in 2022, the Supreme Court ruled on a case titled Shurtleff versus City of Boston. In short, it involved a dispute over Boston's denial of a request to fly a religious flag outside of City Hall, a government entity much like a public school. Boston had approved 50 different flags to be flown, but decided to turn away this particular flag for fear it would run afoul of the entanglement clause of the Constitution, which keeps church and state separate. The Supreme Court advised Boston to look at the flag policy adopted by San Jose, California. Government buildings are free to fly the flags that best represent their community sentiments as long as it is reflected in their policies. Likewise, government buildings are free to decline certain flags, like the Confederate flag, if it does not reflect the values of the city. This really means you, the board, are also legally allowed to practice discretion when it comes to flying flags on campus. You, the board, can lead and set the tone of this school community. All you need to do is establish a clear school district policy regarding the flags. If you would like to help these students activists create a safe and welcoming environment for the school's LGBTQ community, you are free to let them fly their flag. If you truly want to combat racism and promote diversity at the school, you are free to fly an anti-racism flag during Black History Month. If you would like to promote peace as an extension of our community identity as Peacetown, you are free to do that too. Heck, you can even fly a vegan flag if that's something the students want. It's all in your hands, and as a member of this community, I would personally like to see all these types of flags flown at Annalee as a measure of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and as part of a larger effort to stop student bullying at the high school and create a safer environment for everyone. And to the student activists, you deserve a place at the table. You deserve to be seen and heard. Despite what you might hear tonight or how discouraging this process may seem, there are many, many people who support you and your efforts. Keep up the good work. Our community needs you and your voices.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jonah Thomas.
Hello, my name is Jonna Thomas. My pronouns are she, her. This week, a 16-year-old straight A non-binary student in Oklahoma was attacked by three girls in a school bathroom. The child died the next day. The students attended one of many schools where leadership requires trans children to use bathrooms based on their gender assignment at birth. This is one of many trending anti-trans policies that result in widespread bullying of gender nonconforming kids, among others. Next, Benedict joins an all too long list of victims of LGBT hate crimes perpetrated throughout our country's history and still being perpetrated today. I have witnessed some such crimes in person, and it's horrifying. Data from the Human Rights Commission and the University of Connecticut's 2023 LGBTQ+ youth report found that LGBTQ+ youth face bullying, harassment, and violence at school at alarming rates. Over half of trans and gender expansive youth feel unsafe at school. 2/3 of trans and gender expansive youth have been teased or bullied at school in the last 18 months. And over 20% have experienced physical violence at school in just the 30 days prior to responding to the survey. Yet against this backdrop, nationwide, schools have largely been unresponsive. The tone set by leadership matters tremendously. Nothing requires viewpoint neutrality from government leaders or school officials. By the way, I do have a background in public law. I am an attorney. Supreme Court precedent is clear. Waving a rainbow flag does not require you to wave a Confederate flag or any symbol of hate. And I could cite Walker versus Texas Division of Sons of Confederate Veterans as a precedent for that point. Trans and LGBT bullying is most severe where leadership dehumanizes trans children by erasing their trans identities. I observed that happen today inadvertently. And it is important to realize that when we have trans youth, pronouns matter and identity matters. And we should be proactive in that cause. I'm here today with my wife of 15 years. We moved our 3 children here as culture war refugees. The displacement of LGBT families is a rising trend nationwide as we search for safe spaces to raise and educate our children. We are happy to be here raising our 3 tiger cubs. Sebastopol is about as safe as it gets for LGBT families. And that's something that this town and this board should be proud of. But it's also something that we cannot take for granted. To me and families like mine, rainbow flags speak volumes. They tell us you are safe. They tell us that you matter. They tell us that you exist. They tell us that this is a rare place where human diversity is embraced and valued. And this is a place where all can be included. They tell me that this is a place where bullying will not be normalized as a basic part of life. Raising a rainbow flag is an important message to a community that we together stand for inclusion. I hope that the board will take this as an opportunity to lead and send that message. And to you, thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Okay, input from the public regarding items not on open session agenda. And we have Dylan Art. I hope I said your last name correctly.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Arendt. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a member of the Activist Club and a bisexual male. I'm here today to make the argument for why we shouldn't be flying the pride flag, in fact, and I'm going to explain why. So just because we might have precedent like Walker v. Texas or Tinker v. Des Moines doesn't mean that we should do this at all. Because yes, it sets a bad precedent regardless of what other people have said. People have said other flags are false equivocations or irrelevant. That's not true at all. The pride flag represents the ideology of left-leaning people. Ask anybody who flies a pride flag or waves a pride flag, and they will in fact be pro-abortion, pro-open border, and various other pro-Democrat stances. The pride flag has evolved more beyond just being LGBTQ. It's about being left as a whole. So what's going to happen when we fly this flag in the front of school? It's not going to do anything, and it's actually just going to make us more divided. Think of what would happen if we flew a MAGA flag at school. That would tear our school apart because, yes, there are conservative students here. And doing this, flying a pride flag, just does the exact same thing. It sets people apart, it divides people even further, and it makes this school unsafe for LGBT students. The second reason why we shouldn't fly this is because it's a bandage on a bullet wound solution. It doesn't do anything except make us more divided. If we want to actually get things done about making us more inclusive, more alike, and have more common ground, then we should be facilitating discussions with people on both ends of the political spectrum. We should be getting people who self-segregate during lunch, during break, into the same room together and get them talking about things and try and make a conversation. I've dedicated my 4 years of high school to doing that very thing. I'm the president of the Speech and Debate Club, and I bring these kinds of people together and we work out our differences instead of just deciding to fly a flag and mock everybody who disagrees with things like that. I understand wholeheartedly that there is discrimination going on in the LGBT community. I was a part of a group who wrote to the Press Democrat about the dead naming issue that happened here last year. I'm very pro-LGBT. I'm a member of it myself, and I've suffered, I've experienced discrimination. But flying this flag is not the solution. All it's going to do is make us more divided. So, and finally, flying this flag is just textbook over inclusivity. It's going to make people more uncomfortable, people in the LGBT community. We have thousands of posters. We have people telling everybody that we're supportive of one another when that's not really the case at all. Just because we have a poster saying something and putting up a flag and saying that it's solving all our problems isn't going to magically make things better. Nobody's going to be looking up at that pride flag and feeling better about themselves. And all it's going to do is set our conservative students or anybody for that matter. You don't have to be conservative to disagree with that sector of the community. It's just going to set them even farther apart. So let's not resort to this bandage on a bullet wound solution. Let's not make us even more divided. And yes, just because we have legal precedent for this, like I mentioned earlier, doesn't mean we should do this. For all these reasons, please do not fly this pride flag. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would just like to say, I think that the student's opinion reiterates the reason we, as a board, have the process that we have, is we need to give everybody equal voice and equal time to present their arguments. So thank you very much. And Pauline Polini.
Good.
It's on.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Pauline Raimondo Polini. I'm a 1964 graduate of Anley High School. I was a class officer who over the years somehow have become the person to gather the committee and organize our class reunions. Our class has been very devoted to the Anley High School and the wonderful education we received while attending. Many of us are second and third generation graduates from Anley. We will be holding our 60th class reunion on May 4th, the day after the alumni golf tournament, which many of our classmates support. They'll already be here, so we decided to combine them. As a gift to our school at graduation, we had a beautiful tiger mosaic that we raised the money and installed on campus. Over the years, that mosaic disappeared. To renew our appreciation, our class would like to install a beautiful bronze plaque with an inspirational message to replace the one that we lost. Hopefully, this message will encourage the dreams of current and future Anley students. A meeting with Jenny, Bruneman, was held in which she identified a viable location for our plaque. Our goal is to have this installed before our reunion to be held on May 4th. We have arranged with Mia Del Preti for a campus tour prior to our reunion, and we would love to unveil the plaque at that time. We would need some lead time, estimated to be about a month, to have the plaque made, followed by its installation prior to May 4th. It is our hope that the board would make a decision as soon as possible for our request. So thank you for considering the project. And I do think that you all got packets that show the pictures of that and how it would be installed. And then I think the next speaker might address a little bit more, so I won't ask for questions right now. I'll ask for the next speaker if that's okay.
Thank you. And thank you for your dedication to Annalee. We appreciate it.
You're
very
welcome,
much.
Julie.
Yes, thank you very much, Pauline.
Oops.
Ray Rossi.
Still on?
Mhm.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Ray Rossi, and I also graduated in 1964. Anley's been a big factor in my family's life and my life. My sister graduated in 1960 from here. I graduated in 64. My mom graduated many, many years before. And so we go way back with the school district. To me, Anley is the kind of place where there were a few things that were essential and they fulfilled them. The one was the education itself, built a foundation for a future. Secondly, was the freedom to really consider what you might want to do with that future. And lastly is the hardest one, and that is to get kids to focus and think about what they do want to do once they leave the high school. For me, after high school, it was the junior college, and then it was San Jose State, and then it was law school at UC Davis. There was a little break there for Army service during the Vietnam era, and then my career was to work for the Treasury Department in Washington, D.C., then Bank of America in San Francisco, and then about 35 years in high-tech corporations in Silicon Valley. So it led to a very meaningful career. I attribute a lot of that success, if it was success, to Hanley. Similarly, my classmates, their stories are different. But Pauline mentioned we have a 60th reunion coming up. We've had periodic reunions all along, some informal, some more formal. And my story is not that different from others. We have a very successful class in terms of what they went on to. And again, I attribute a lot of that credit to Anley. I'll also mention my sister was an employee of the district for about 30 years, so she devoted a fair amount of her working career to Anley and to the district. Beyond that, it's the plaque is to replace something which we left behind 60 years ago, and albeit 60 years is a very, very long time, it did disappear, vestiges of time, and we'd like to restore that, renew that appreciation for what Anley did for us. And we'd like the board and the administration here to share in that if possible before that reunion so that we can send that message to the community, but also to hopefully inspire the current students and the future students. The plaque would read Anley High School, and then it would say where dreams start. And for those of us, many cases, I would actually say most cases, the dreams actually did start here. And we'd like to note that, restore the symbolic thing on campus. Hopefully that will make sense to the rest of you that obviously devote your time and attention to Hanley. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, thank you for your dedication to Annalee and your thoughtful presentation. We appreciate it.
If there are any questions too, Pauline and I can.
Do you have any questions, board members?
Well, this isn't on the agenda, so we can't have a discussion about it. Brown Act rules.
I was only asking for questions, but it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey Jones.
To you, Julie or Jenny, are we going to add this to the agenda like next month?
Talk about it during agenda.
Yes, we will talk about it during agenda setting. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Glad to be here. Glad the band room is still up. Just a little cosmetic damage. No worries, we're all good. My power has been on for a while at home, so that's all good as well. It was out for 5.5 days. Thanks, whatever random fir tree that was. Anyway, I'm here to talk about some arts things. We have some stuff coming up, and I have a couple things to talk about going on in the fine arts, which I'm really excited about. So I'm not texting, I'm finding my upcoming events. There we go, graphic. So 5 p.m. this Friday at Maria Carrillo, they're having what's called a CMEA, or California Music Ed Association Jazz Festival. And so they'll have 5 bands. It's not so much a competition between bands, it's just keeping track and score of each individual group. And so we'll go there and play and give on a performance, which is at 5. You're welcome to be there. It's open to the public. No short notice. And so, yeah, we'll be there. At the end of this month, February 29th, as well as March 1st and 2nd, there's the dance show over at the Laguna campus. Some people call it the Elmo PAC, the big, wonderful theater. If you haven't been to that theater, I highly recommend it. It is fantastic. We also have in March and April, Legally Blonde the musical. It will be hilarious. I highly recommend you check it out. It's really funny. And the students are really, we're working on it, we're rehearsing it, and they're doing their best. That will be, I have it as March 28th, 29th, and 30th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as well as April 5th, 6th, and 7th. There are evening shows as well as matinee. The Friday, Saturday should be 7 p.m. And matinees will be at 2. Let's see. There'll also be I believe, an art show on campus April 6th. It's called the Empty Bowls Art Show. And we will have our Only in Wesco Film Fest at the Rialto Theater on April 10th. Let's see. And the Sebastopol Center for the Arts and I are working out a series of youth performances in March and April as well. And so Sonoma State will have a string quartet. A few of the members of the string quartet helped out at our winter concert. They played and covered a few of the cello and viola parts, so I highly recommend you check them out. They're fantastic. And that will be on March 30th. That's at 2 o'clock. And then the jazz ensemble from Sonoma State will be April 6th. Dr. Doug Leibinger has come into our classroom a couple times to work with our students, so I highly encourage you to check out his ensembles as well. And now for us, Annalie will be playing combined with 3 different schools. On April 20th, we'll be playing combined with the Hillcrest Middle School Jazz Band. Our jazz band will be playing as well. All the way out in May, we'll be playing with the Sebastopol Charter. I believe it's the Honor Strings Group, and that's May 18th. And then on Memorial Day, not my choice, but just the way the way the calendar works, we'll be playing combined our string group with Windsor High School's strings folks as well. And that's all at the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. And their goal is to help build more youth community events through music performances there. And before I go, I just want to say thank you all for your supports for the arts. If you see anything in social media, I ask that you just hit, I feel like a YouTuber saying this, oh my God, just hit the share button, but it really matters because that one, I know, right? Like and subscribe, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. But please share it. It really helps spread things. And the more, don't know how the Facebook and Instagram logarithms work. Don't care to explain it if I knew it anyway. But if you share it organically, it goes a little bit farther than paid ads and things, and it really means a lot to me and the students. And a lot of the graphics I've been working on, and a lot of the things that the wonderful teachers share that I really admire is it's all student centered, and it's really nice to not see the like teacher with the student in the back selfie. It's like here are the wonderful students, here are the wonderful community. So please feel free to share all of those. And as soon as I have a little bit of downtime, I'll share that info with you and I'll send it via email so you can see all those wonderful graphics. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Moving on to the consent calendar. Can I have a motion that we accept the consent calendar?
I move that we accept the consent calendar.
In a second. All those in
I
favor?
actually have
Oh,
one
I'm sorry.
question.
You have a
And
question?
one question and 2 comments. We don't have to pull anything off. I think it's just some clarifying. The approval of donation number 4, first wave, business cards for who? $150 donation.
That was actually a return stale data check and the company has closed and the previous owner just said, keep it.
Okay,
This was from,
so, because it
I
said
can't
something like
remember
it
the
was a
date.
donation from.
Yeah.
Okay,
So in
but it
order
was
for
just a
us to
sale
take
that
that
you're
back, since it's not our money,
calling it a
we have to
donation.
have a
Okay.
donation.
Thank you for the clarification. And then on items number 2 and 3, the request forms were not attached to the agenda, so I could not read them. Do you have them?
I do have.
So they were submitted and they weren't attached.
You have all the details in the current.
There was some narrative, yes,
Oh,
right,
got it.
right. There was some narrative, but normally they are attached, so I was just curious about that. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And action on items heard in closed session. Sean?
Nothing to report.
And we are on to reports. Student Board Representative,
All
Karen.
right. Hi. So once again, I have a relatively light report as we've had a lot of Mondays off this month, and even yesterday was canceled due to the debris from the storm. In late January, we held our first ever winter semi-formal. We had a few hundred students in attendance, so the turnout did leave a little bit to be desired, but that's not entirely surprising considering the fact that this was the first time we'd ever held this event, and I'm sure that it'll gain traction if we continue to do it in following years. In early February, we held our second annual Unity Week. I had the privilege of being one of the 2 student planners for this event, and I think, obviously I am a little biased, but I think it was a huge success and definitely an improvement over last year, just because we had a lot more of student and teacher participation in this event. The theaters were a lot more crowded every time I went in and saw them than they were last year. For this event, we managed to get speakers from a wide variety of organizations, including but not limited to the JACL, the Holocaust Story Project, Best Buddies, Positive Images, and even some presentations from our school's exchange students about their home countries. So as I said earlier, each of these presentations had a much larger level of attendance than last year, so I am very proud of how Unity Week turned out. The boys soccer team held their final game last night in the third round of playoffs, so our winter sports are officially at an end. And on March 4th, we'll be holding our annual Winter Sports Awards to honor all of our winter athletes. Another thing to look forward to in the coming month is Chilingo. At this event, teachers compete in a chili cooking competition and attendees participate in bingo to win prizes. It's a creative event and it's also one of my favorites. And of course, we have prom on the horizon, which will be April 20th. And the juniors in the leadership class are hard at work planning, while the rally commissioners are working on the Spirit Week and rally that we'll have kind of surrounding prom. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Principal reports. Who wants to go first? All right.
I always feel a little bit redundant following Karis, and it's pretty high pressure for me, honestly. She does such a great job. As she mentioned, short month made a little shorter by holidays and closures, but we've squeezed quite a bit in, I think. I want to mention three things in particular that folks have been working really hard at the high school at Annalee. The counseling team has been making many presentations around scheduling signups, and we're virtually complete. So really want to compliment them for their work there and getting that done efficiently, and super excited to see the course signups. We'll be working with that to build the master schedule in weeks to come. Somewhat related to that, the 9th grade experience was a full week event, and really want to give commendations primarily to Gianna for helping to organize that with lots of help and support from many in the office and the counseling staff. We had 490 8th graders on campus. From 11 different feeder schools, including folks from all the way to Fort Ross. And every student received a customized folder with personalized registration information to help prepare them for registration and class selection. Is Casey still here? The jazz band gave 2 performances every day for the entire week. If you've not seen the jazz band, they're incredibly tight. If you like that, they're really quite good. They're amazing. And to hear them actually in the cafeteria was pretty special. Pretty cool. It was really lovely. Leadership students took groups of students on class and campus tours. Many of those students, almost all of those students got registered, signed up. Their parents came on Thursday evening for a presentation and to learn how to register. I think we learned a lot from that event and from many of the associated outreach events to our feeder schools. Leadership students have been working hard on that. The band and different arts programs have been working hard on that. I think we have a lot that we can get better on. So one of our priorities is really to continue to come up with innovative ways of showcasing our school to prospective students in the community. And improving all of our events, back to school night, showcase night, the incoming 9th grade experience, registration night. So we can grow in numbers and continue to offer the vibrant programming Annalee's known for. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the Youth Truth Survey effort. In particular, I want to thank the English teachers for holding the bulk of that work. Students surveyed in their classes. We did a lot of nagging to the other groups, families and staff. we were able to survey 91% of our students at Anley High School, 28% of our families in the community, and over 80% of certificated and classified staff. So I feel pretty good about that effort. We have, as of February 14th, Valentine's Day, we received that information. It is super valuable. I feel really lucky that we have that detailed comparative information. This was the final year of a 3-year Youth Truth Survey effort. So 140 something schools throughout the county used the same survey instrument and with the same sort of survey cohort. It really gives us unique comparative data that I think we really owe it to our community to dig into and to share and to commit ourselves to doing something with what we're learning from that. So anytime you want to take a look at Youth Truth, I'm glad to show anybody how to make sense of the data and dig around in it. Would love to do that. The other thing I want to mention, I had an opportunity week before last week, to go to Texas, which I saw virtually none of except for a hotel room and conference room there. But this was part of Accelerate Ed, which is a Gates Foundation funded convening of 30 teams from across the country. Sonoma County was one of those teams representing the New School Model project that we've been a part of, you folks know about, for the last several years. What was really interesting to see is sort of what's happening in different parts of the country in terms of thinking about big ideas around school reform. So scalable ideas that teams around the country are pursuing around a number of common goals. So the big themes were developing sort of a fast track to a credential of some value, whether academic or otherwise, that students earn while they're in high school. Creating an integrated set of courses, experiences, and supports for students while they're in high school, ensuring that those opportunities are equitably available to all students. With folks doing really interesting things around that, and then ensuring that these experiences are provided at no cost. So those goals align with national and state incentive programs that I'm sure you're hearing some things about, and represent efforts to transform the student experience of school for the better. Really excited to hear our community's thoughts about what those building blocks to purposeful and prosperous life might look like here at Anley. Thanks.
Thank you. That was really interesting. Okay, Greg, what you got?
Hey, Greg, here we go.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. And it feels like a while since I've been up here. I want to start by really just talking about a couple of our students. So back in October, Stacy Fortin brought in as one of our workshops Fox Home Health, who had an opportunity with a grant to fund training for students to go through training to become a home health aide. We had 3 students take advantage of that. And over the course of November and December, I think every single day they had about 3 to 4 hours of classes after school. And myself, Lana Mack, and Miss Lowy had the opportunity late December to attend their graduation. So very, very cool. We're very, very proud of all the work that they've done. Huge thank you to Stacy for setting that up to provide that opportunity. And all 3 have said that they're going to continue and want to go on to get their CNA certification in the summer. So just wanted to brag on those students a little bit. Late January, we partnered with Redwood Credit Union and had them come out for an event called Bite of Reality. And it's a personal finance event. We had the whole school and library, and there's a setup very similar to this. And all the students start off sitting down and they receive an iPad and they get a career and a salary. And the purpose of the event is they have to go shopping at each station for housing, transportation, household goods, all that kind of stuff. It was actually really fun because the teachers played the part as the salespeople, and we're really pushing and trying to get them to, upsell and that sort of thing. So really, really good event. We got great feedback. The kids felt it was really valuable. So that was a good time, and also, aligned a lot with our Stats for Life class and some of the personal finance stuff that we had going. So that was excellent. In January, we also had the opportunity for SCO to come in and provide some QPR training for our students, which is question, persuade, and refer. And it's really how to recognize and respond to warning signs of suicide. And so we felt the training was really valuable. Ourselves as a staff had the training, I believe, our second professional development day this year. So it was a great opportunity, able to kind of align our training and also get our students training we felt was really valuable. Early February, we had what may have been the most eventful WASC visit I'd been a part of. So the visiting committee came in on the 5th, and we remember it was storming pretty good. And they asked if instead of meeting at the school for the tour because of travel, if I can meet them at the hotel in town. So of course I get over there, and 5 minutes into our meeting, the power went out. And we had to cancel school that Monday. So it ended up being a 2-day visit, and we will have our final report and accreditation and all of that finalized in April. We don't fully know what we have yet. We do feel good about the visit. Tons and tons of valuable feedback that we're very, very anxious and excited to put into place. And so really just using the WASC visit in conjunction with, as Chuck mentioned, all the youth truth data that we got, just a wealth of data to sift through and really use that to try to improve our school for our students for the better. So and what else? We had 10,000 Degrees put on a FAFSA workshop for students and families. So want to give a shout out to Annabelle, who's our 10,000 Degrees liaison, who put that together. We had a really, really good turnout. Excuse me. I think we had 7 or 8 families show up, start the process of signing up for FAFSA and going through that process. And so we're starting to see some of the fruits of that labor bear with the number of FAFSAs being completed and submitted. So we feel like we're in a good spot there. And then we had on Valentine's Day our Rotary Breakfast Student of the Month Award. So big thank you to Wayne and the Rotary Club. It's always a really cool thing to see our students be celebrated, be honored, and get up in front of a crowd and receive a plaque and give a little speech. So just want to highlight the positives there. And that's all I have.
That was really interesting too. Wow, great stuff happening at our schools. That was super cool. Thank you. Association reports. Lily, you want to go first? Or Brian? Lily and Brian and the little dude.
Cutie back there.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Nice to see everybody. I don't know why he has his shirt off. He's never done that before, but he doesn't want to put that shirt on. Yeah, and it's a Bob Dylan shirt too. Random thing today at daycare. There's only 5 kids in the daycare. Another kid had a Bob Dylan shirt. 2 kids. I don't know who the parent is, but I feel like there's a connection there. So the first part I'm going to read Lily wanted us to say, and then the second part is about negotiations, which begin on Monday. Well, I guess they don't begin, but that's when they kind of begin. So, so I'm just going to read this first part here. We've been dealing with space issue at Anley High for the past 3 years, with teachers and classes having to share rooms. It's been difficult to build the campus culture and retain staff. In the Spanish department, we've lost every new Spanish teacher who had to share a classroom space. Looking ahead to 2025, when some of our buildings are set to be demolished, the situation will get even tighter. We want to see a clear plan for how we're going to manage classes and teachers during the demolition and construction. If the plan is to bus overflow out to the El Molino campus, we've tried that and it results in serious drops in class enrollment. We want to make sure everyone can establish their own learning environment and that students are learning happily. If that means a row of portables on the edge of campus, let's do it. So there's the space issue that we're concerned about. Moving over to talk about negotiations a little bit. The WSCTA has felt positive about negotiations with the district, and we would like to acknowledge the professionalism and positive attributes of the district, your negotiating team. So far, it's been very good. That being said, recent conversations have skirted financial matters, and which are generally the topics that give rise to the most tension and disagreement at the table. And so for months, the feeling from our negotiation team has been optimism, and that outlook persists, but it's somewhat diluted by a variety of gloomy statements regarding the budgets that we've been hearing. It's kind of tempered some of that optimism we have, but we're still optimistic. There is some reality to the gloominess. There is a reality to the statement that coal is less than what was originally predicted, and that reality will inevitably play into the conversation, whatever final deal is made. But the reality that remains more forceful than any projection of some tentative future is the reality that teachers are struggling to pay for rent and childcare and to live where they work and stay in the profession they've chosen, and the reality that Sonoma County remains a very expensive place to live. The reality that in far worse fiscal times, the district provided better health benefits than we do today. The reality that teachers still work under an expensive and useless system where raises are based on how many units they can afford. From what is now a cottage industry and professional development units has taken control and found profit in taking advantage of our teachers. The reality that we are in a competitive market for hiring talented educators, recruiting and retaining quality educators is still our essential promise to the community. The reality that the district has over $7 million in its unrestricted reserve, over 24% of the total operating budget, which is clear proof that the district has the means to fulfill the promise it makes to its teachers and students. The reality that since 2017-18, the funding the district receives from the state per ADA has increased 20%, while the average teacher's salary has only increased 10.3%. The reality that since 21-22, the COLA has increased 29%, while teacher raises have totaled 12.7%. The WSCTA encourages the board to give its bargaining team the flexibility to bring to the table an offer that promises the students the education they deserve, makes strong improvements to teacher salaries, fixes the structure of our salary schedule, and improves the health benefits. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Board reports. Debbie.
I don't have anything to report. I don't have anything to report.
Jeannie.
The only thing I have to report is that I attended the what would we call that, Andrew, that we went to? capital advisors budget review, and it wasn't really anything different than what we expected it to be. And the budget really wasn't anything different than we expected it to be, but it was still informative, and appreciated the opportunity to attend. That was what, end of January. But that's all I have to report.
Sean?
I don't have anything at this time.
Lewis?
Me neither.
Okay, I just have one thing to say, that we got the closet up and running for Annalee, so that was really nice. And,
Julie.
supplies, yeah, well, thanks to, I have helpers, Bonnie Bowen and Jennifer Roventini, and both great helpers, so.
And thanks, Chuck, for helping find the spot.
Yes, thank you for finding us a spot. We appreciate that. All right. Superintendent report.
Thank you. It's been busy few weeks coming back from some time out of the office, and I was busy while I was out of the office as well. I'd like to start with my employee recognitions. And I do want to thank Mia for helping me to acknowledge some of these folks on a monthly basis. And the hard work of our staff and the things that they do for our students don't go unnoticed. First, I'd like to recognize Tara Crawford, Andy Entwood, and Ariana Sturr for the work that they put on display regarding the students' masked and unmasked art show at the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. There was over 100 pieces of artwork on display by our kiddos. Randy Hall, student film shown at the masked, unmasked art show. That was really cool as well. And then Casey Jones, first I want to thank Casey for bringing updates to the board without us having to invite him to do that. And I think that his work does not go unnoticed with his program, as well as the work that he's doing in the PR release section that we've provided. Sarah Piccolo for opening her home to May Eibach, who had a tree and power lines down at her home without power for a few weeks. And just everybody for rallying around each other through these storms, and the communication from our leadership team and our board of trustees in terms of making the right decisions regarding keeping our students and staff safe. That couldn't be done without Jenny and Denise and her crew. We're up texting 4 or 5 a.m., making decisions, communicating, and ensuring that we're doing the right things. I'd like to recognize a new employee that many of you may have not had a chance to meet yet, and that's Sheila Richmond, and that's our wellness coordinator. Sheila's been an integral part of our multi-tiered systems of support, and I'd like to thank her for proposing the social therapy dogs on campus revisions to our board policies, which you'll hear here in a little bit. Nicole Wilkinson, our PD, really proud of those efforts, and building a continuum of support to ensure that we're just looking at our instruction and our practices differently in terms of building a really inclusive environment that supports equity and high-level instruction for all students. Anita Sanduina, we had a really productive DEI meeting last night. She's now the chair. She did a beautiful job facilitating that and really steering us in the right direction. Heidi Mickelson, CTE coordinator. She wrote the CTEG, Strong Workforce Grant, other grants, attended the Accelerated Ed convening down in Texas, and her work is extremely appreciated. And she also continues to teach 2 sections of AgMech. Recognize, segue right into FFA. The students are doing a really great job. Attended the grapevine pruning event down in Fresno, and that was the state FFA state finals. That was our grapevine pruning CDE team, and there were 6 students that were a part of that team. There can only be 4 students that represent that program at each state final contest, and this year we had 4 students that were selected to compete. Our team was 3rd in the state and placed in every subdivision category, and we won 3rd in the cordon wine grape pruning, and 3rd in cordon table grape pruning, 5th in cane raisin grape pruning, and 6th in the exam. Forgive me, I'm still learning a lot about our ag program, but it's phenomenal the work that they're doing. And even more exciting, we had a 2024 state champion pruner at our school, first high individual overall in the entire contest. And then we had another student that was third individual overall in the contest. So those students know who they are, they've been recognized, and we really appreciate their representation on behalf of that program. We've been really evaluating, the needs of our students and staff with regard to non-teaching positions. And what I want to note is that we've been listening to our leadership team and our teachers and our staff, and have made an informed decision to bring back the third vice principal position for next year. In addition, because we all know that sometimes it's hard to afford everything, we also did some creative work to ensure that we can commit to our teacher on special assignment positions for next year. Our DEI TOSA, our Ed Services TOSA, and our CTE coordinator TOSA position will all be full-time and sustainable and funded outside of the general fund. So really proud of that. It's hiring season. I think our team does a really good job. I think that we are excited about negotiations next week. I believe that it is really, really important to create a very, very competitive salary schedule and attract and retain high quality educators, as that is what our students and community need. I'd like to thank Dale for sending me a proposal, and Dale and I haven't had a chance to connect on that. Dale and I have had conversations around how we best utilize the facility on the Laguna campus, and how that could correlate to our goal of building a really robust community school program. So I'll be in touch, Dale. And Mary, I didn't want you to think that I forgot about the next steps in terms of bringing our El Molino historical preservation folks together. Appreciate everybody's grace, for me being out of the office and playing catch up, and doing my best to prioritize district priorities. That's all I've got today.
Thank you very much. And we are on Education Services, Local Control Accountability Plan, and Dashboard Data Update.
So we'll cast this up. I do want to note that there is a new state requirement in terms of the mid-year report. That report will be provided within this LCAP and dashboard update, and the mid-year report is for board review, no action needed, which is attached to the second. But I will give you that report embedded into the presentation. Slide, 3 phases of the strategic planning process. We are in phase 2. We'll be working in phase 3, starting with our next meeting in March. The topics I want to cover today is an overview of our 2023 California Student Dashboard data. We've got a lot of data and a lot of good work. Back on here. I want to make sure that you have an understanding of differentiated assistance eligibility. We're eligible for differentiated assistance, and I will explain that to you today. I'm going to give you an opportunity to understand the LCAP mid-year report and what goes into that document. And then we will explore our revised goals to date. Again, this LCAP will be the district strategic plan. It will encompass all expenditures, non-relating to facilities, so programs, staffing. And our goal was to build an LCAP that represents where we want to go as a district. Next slide, please. So I touched on this in my superintendent's report, and you may have had a chance to look at some of our dashboard results. And I know that Chuck also talked a little bit about this with staff, but we've got some celebrations, even though we still got more work to do. The academic indicator ELA showed growth and above standard performance, as you can see. The indicator in math also showed growth, but the overall performance of the students is still below the standard. However, really, really proud that both of these indicators are in the green. And it was unfortunate that this wasn't covered by the Press Democrat when they released the results. If you compare us to some of the other comprehensive high schools, there's a lot to celebrate here. I don't know, but I think our good friend Dale will capture it today.
Thank you, David.
ELA increased by 70.8 points to 28.2 points above the standard. Math increased 53 points, but it remains at 54.5 points below the standard. Above the standard means that their students are performing better on average than other students statewide. If students are performing at standard, they're demonstrating the knowledge and skills necessary for students to be on track for college and career. The suspension rate indicator maintained at 4% in 2023 compared to 2022, and the graduation rate increased 1.6% to 94.7. The college and career indicator is based on students in the combined 4- and 5-year graduation rate, current 4-year graduation cohort plus 5th-year graduates from prior cohort. The college and career indicator, CCI, also known as, shows how well local educational agencies, LEAs, and schools are preparing high school students for success after graduation, whether in post-secondary education or in a career. For this reason, our the CCI consists of both college and career readiness measures. In 2023, no color was assigned to the college and career indicator because it was not published in 2022. Just wanted to make sure to note that. And therefore, a growth measure from 22 to 23 isn't possible. The 2023 CCI is a measure of performance within the 2023 year only. We'll see different results on next year's dashboard. This is where we need to do better. 41.5% of district students are prepared for success after high school based on the 23 CCI, College and Career Indicator. More information regarding our district's performance on each college and career readiness measure will be presented in a later slide today. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our responsibility is to guarantee equity. Many of you have heard me say, Annalee has never looked more different, right? We have a variety of things that have changed here over the years, consolidation, an increase in the number of interdistrict transfers. So our student body demographics, our unduplicated student population has increased. The way that we need to serve our students must also be addressed to reflect those students in particular needs. As you kind of absorb this a little bit, take note of where we are doing well and where we are not doing well in terms of our demographics and those different represented groups. The academic indicator in ELA shows students on average performing at the green level on the dashboard. Low-income students scored yellow, and students with disabilities scored red. While low-income students' performance grew at the same rate as students on average, their overall performance is 15 below the standard. The performance of students with disabilities in 23 remains similar. Their performance in 2022 and is 142 points below the standard. The academic indicator in math shows a similar growth pattern as ELA. However, students on average are performing below the standard. Both the Hispanic and low-income student groups showed growth in 2023. That's a good thing, scoring yellow. However, they're performing lower compared to students overall. Hispanic students scored 83 points below standard, and low-income students scored 106 points below the standard. Students with disabilities performed similarly in 2022 compared to 23 and are performing 202 points below the standard. The suspension rate indicator also shows disparities between different student groups, with a suspension rate for Asian students at 0%, a decrease of 2.4 from 22. For low-income students, the suspension rate was 4.5%, the same as the overall average, but also declined from 22 by 2.3%. For Hispanic and white students, the suspension rate is 5.1% and 3.7%, respectively, remaining similar to the 22 rate for these two groups. The suspension rate in 23 for students with disabilities was 8.9%, for English learners was 12%, and for homeless youth, it was 11%. The 23 graduation rate indicator also shows disparity between the different student groups. The lowest graduation rates were for students with disabilities at 78% and homeless youth at 90%. The reason why homeless youth scored lower on the 23 dashboard than students with disabilities is because the graduation rate for homeless youth decreased by 2.6% from 2022, whereas the graduation rate for students with disabilities increased by 8.9% compared to 22. Finally, the college and career indicator, an important measure, as I indicated earlier, for high school districts shows disparity between the groups and overall performance that is average compared to other high schools statewide. Overall, 41.5% of students graduating are prepared for college and or career as based on the CCI indicator measures. For homeless youth, this percentage decreases to only 5% of homeless youth prepared for college and or career. Next slide, please. What you'll see here is a breakdown. 171 out of 412 students are prepared. That's the cohort measured for college and career based on the 23 CCI. Which students are prepared for college and career? I think that pie chart's pretty compelling. In the bar chart to the left in the light blue, 69% of total district student population is white, 22% is Hispanic, and 52% is socioeconomically disadvantaged. Of the 171 students who are prepared for college, 74% are white, 16 are Hispanic, and 38% are socioeconomically disadvantaged. White students are overrepresented in the percentage of students who are prepared for college and career, and the Hispanic and socioeconomically disadvantaged students are underrepresented in the percentage of students who are prepared. The pie chart shows that the percentages by race of the 171 students who are prepared for college and career. Next slide, please. This is available on our dashboard. And these are some, not all, of the measures for college and career indicator that pertain mostly to services that we provide in our district. There are a total of 13 measures with the CCI. This table includes 6 of the 13. The 6 measures not included in the table are International Baccalaureate, Leadership Military Science, Registered Pre-Apprenticeship, Non-Registered Pre-Apprenticeship, and Non-Registered Pre-Apprenticeship DASS. Excuse me for fumbling over my word. The above measures illustrate areas where our district students are contributing to the indicator. The measures with the highest contribution of the CCI indicator is the number of students completing UC CSU requirements. 154 out of 412 in the cohort successfully completed UC CSU requirements. The second highest contributing measure is the percentage of students who met or exceeded standards on the Smarter Balance assessments in ELA and math. 84 out of 412 met or exceeded standards on the Smarter Balance assessments. There is a significant opportunity to increase the overall score for our CCI in the near future. The opportunity to increase the percentage of students successfully completing a CTE pathway, AP courses, work-based learning, and college credit courses, to name a few. We're one of the only high schools in the county that hasn't allowed college credit course for graduation. Finish my presentation, Dale, thank you. Next slide. Differentiated assistance eligibility. This is new for our district. What does this mean? And then I'll tell you about where we were deemed eligible for DA. This means that we're eligible for support from SCO to assist us in building an LCAP that addresses the reasons why we're in DA. SCO gets a bulk of money. We can take their support or leave it. Just know that even before we were, informed that we were eligible for DA, we were already addressing these disparity and these issues within our LCAP process. We're eligible based on the performance of homeless youth on the 23 California school dashboard. We have a lot of students who are deemed homeless or homeless because of the number of students who live in modular homes in the far west. The suspension rate for homeless youth in 23 was 11%, which increased by 6.8 in 22. The suspension rate for homeless youth in 22 was 4.2%. The number of homeless youth included in the 23 suspension rate indicator is only 27. The college and career indicator for homeless youth in 23 was very low. Of the 20 students included in the homeless youth student group, only one was prepared for college and career, or 5% of homeless youth compared to 41.5% of all students district-wide. LEAs, local education agencies, that's us, that meet the criteria for DA, as I acknowledged, are eligible to receive technical assistance from the County of Office of Education. I'll be scheduling a meeting here shortly with Kelly Dillon, who will be meeting with our team, a number of folks from our LCAP Ed Partner Committee, to talk about what that support could look like. But we are really confident that we're going to address some of these measures and be able to put some systems in place to address this. But let's see what they have to offer us. Next slide, please. When I look at this slide, and I do appreciate our student activists acknowledging the portrait of a graduate to support their presentation. Where do homeless students have the opportunity to develop and demonstrate these skills and aptitudes? Again, I think it's really important for us to look at how successful we are in a variety of different ways and acknowledge that. Tip of the cap. But we've got to support all students. It's our responsibility to guarantee equity. Next slide, please. As I've mentioned, our prior LCAP was pretty standard in the way that it was written, reflected only the supplemental concentration funds and program and staffing allocated from that around 1.5 million. The goals, there was 3. You can see the goals on the far left: improve conditions of learning, school climate and engagement, promote course access and student success, improve college and career readiness through the implementation of the district portrait of a graduate outcomes. So we've reflected, have we been able to achieve those goals? Are the actions that were built into those goals attainable, measurable? So we've revisited that, and I've had some really good conversations with our Ed Partner team, and we're going to continue to work together to take that input. But what we're leaning towards is building 2 goals with more overarching actions. Provide a responsive, evidence-based, multi-tiered systems of supports. Some of these things we're already doing really well. To maximize student achievements, foster authentic student and family engagement, and create a positive school climate. Possible goal number 2, strengthen innovative, equitable opportunities for academic rigor, career preparation, and personal development so all students successfully attain the characteristics of a portrait of a graduate. Again, these goals, this is a draft. These will be flushed out. Input will be taken. Next slide, please. The LCAP Ed Partner meeting, the next time we meet is, I think that is a typo. Sorry, it's next week on Thursday. It should say February 29th. That's my apologies. And we're going to finalize a reimagined district mission statement and obviously the LCAP goals. I think we need to ensure that our mission captures equity for all. We prioritize high achievement, and we've done that really well. We've served our high achieving students, our students on a UC and CSU track really, really well. We're elite in that regard. We want to continue that and build on that. We need to be elite in guaranteeing equity for all. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have some questions. So my understanding is the first step in this differentiated assistance process is identifying strength and challenges and where the causes may be. And my question to you, Chris, is what can the governing board do to support directing resources to these programs? Because that's really where the LCAP is going to increased funding in particular programming. So you might not have an answer to this now, but I think we all, in the future, maybe the next update, if you, and I know this is a 2-year program for the differentiated assistance, it's going to take some time to come up with the programs. But if we could, as you're looking at these goals, identify where we could direct some more resources so that we can get these students uplifted to a better place. I know several years ago when the El Molino campus was closed, a lot of these students are now needing to travel a lot further. And we've had a lot of issues around transportation. I know, there's a number of interrelated issues around the bus situation, but if there's something that we could do to help kids feel more supported about getting to school regularly on time, I think that could go a long way. So I just wanted to tell you my support for if we could possibly find some way to direct some more resources towards that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I want to be optimistic, and my goal is to get out of DA in 1 year. I think that you're a part of the educational partner committee, so let's bring these thoughts to that table and talk about how we could better allocate that 1.5 of supplemental. But also, since our LCAP is going to be all encompassing, how can we allocate other resources and build a strong plan to address those issues? As far as transportation, we operate under the JPA. I've acknowledged that there's some challenges there. But if we believe that, more bus routes are necessary, if there's anything that we can bring back to the council, I think as I emailed you earlier, it's identifying where are there gaps in transportation. And then by all means, we could propose additional routes. And then we could, as we did last year, allocate more resources from the LCAP to pay for our increased transportation services. Those are a few things that I've been thinking about. Any
Can I
other
just make
questions?
a comment?
Please.
I was talking to Leslie Grassel, and Lily, jump in if you need to. And I was asking her, how they had this major increase in math scores, particularly after COVID. And the interesting thing about the math department is it's a real combination between the El Molino teachers and Annalee teachers. And primarily she was saying that they enjoy working together. They make it a point to get together and compare things that work and things that don't. So I think, at least I found in my education experience as well, that the opportunity for teachers to work together and share strategies and actually analyze what is working and what isn't is an important part to increasing those scores and helping kids achieve the high standards we want to keep.
Absolutely. I mean, that does not go unnoticed. And I think that I want to, credit Principal Wade, his staff, the teachers, obviously Nicole and the team for looking at different practices, standards-based grading. How do we collaborate? How do we best use CPT time? How we look at common formative and summative assessments? How we look at common students? So I think that, the vision is really to reimagine the master schedule, how we can align teachers with similar cohorts of students to better collaborate, to better understand the individual needs of those students. So great comments. And I think that, I want to give the math team kudos as well. And not just them. I know that there's a lot of work happening. I know that our staff has been working really hard in terms of adjusting to the changes that have happened in this district over the past few years. So, any other questions? Yeah.
At the very end here, you mentioned about finalizing the reimagined district mission statement.
Mhm.
And I know we talked about that during our governance team meeting. Um, and so it looks like you're going to make some final tweaks to that, but then you're going to bring it back to the board, I hope.
Yeah.
And once the LCAP team has spent more time on it, is that the plan? Or can you give me more detail on that?
Yeah, so we'll wordsmith it with the LCAP team. We'll float it to our staff for some inputs in a variety of different ways. I'll work with the principals to determine how best to do that. And we like some of the language that's currently in our mission. We do, right? We do want to prioritize high quality instruction. I think that we've done that really well. So I want, and what I've heard from the folks that I've engaged with so far, the Board of Trustees, the leadership team, and obviously the LCAP Ed Partner Committee, is there's just some minor changes. We don't want a dissertation. We want a statement that really captures all the things that we want for our students and where Annalee is headed based on the students that we serve. Because as a public school district with open doors, we don't get to choose who shows up. We just got to serve them really well.
And Chris, to add to the folks that you are going to ask about this mission statement, is there a plan to bring this to the students and ask their input on it?
Mhm.
What is that plan?
Well, we've had some student representation to the Ed Partner Committee, and
There've
part
been
of our next meeting will be to garner ideas from our students as to how that could be best floated.
Okay, so the student body
Yeah.
will be involved in some way.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, 2024 LCAP mid-year monitoring report for the 2023-24 LCAP.
So this item was for your review. The mid-year report was embedded in the report that I just provided. Any questions on the document attached to this item, which is the state required document, which is new, and has to be adopted or reviewed by the board, presented to the board before February 28th. It's a new requirement. Any questions on that document?
None? Okay. Consideration of approval of resolution number 5, February 2023-2024 to establish capacity limits for class size and special education programs for the 2024-2025 school year. Can I have a motion?
Were we not to take an action on the last item?
Number 2 is not an action item. It's
Number-
for review only. It just must be presented to the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I have a motion?
I move that we consider the approval of resolution number 5.
Can I have a second?
Also.
Great. And who is going to present about it?
I'll present the item. So
Okay.
this is a routine item. This was brought before the board last year around this time. And this item is to establish capacity limits for individual education plan students who request interdistrict transfer. And districts, to be able to provide that capacity limit, districts must pass a resolution in order to do so. And essentially, this is so that we can prioritize our in-district students that may have IEPs.
Any questions or concerns from the board? We need to do a roll call vote. Debbie?
Aye.
Jeannie?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
And I. First reading of recommended revisions to CSBA December 2023 updates.
Any questions on any of the policies that have been put before the board for a first read?
Mhm. Okay. First reading of recommended revisions to administrative regulation animals at school.
This item brings me great joy. I acknowledge Sheila Richmond for nudging me on this. This is something I've been thinking about for quite some time. I was a volunteer for Canine Companions for Independence, and I started that when I was in my last year as a teacher. Big place in my heart for people with disabilities. I've shared, the story of working with a student with cerebral palsy in my senior year in college, and that's what motivated me to become a teacher. The value of having legitimate social emotional support dogs on a campus is it's great. So Sheila, has worked with representatives from SCO who have dog handlers, from CCI, from PAWS. It's just invaluable for students and adults alike. So I wanted a policy that really clarified the intent and the purpose and the organizations in which the dogs may be able to come from. Because I'm really familiar with this, I feel like this policy is sound and it's based on the 4 accredited, reputable organizations that we have access to in Sonoma County.
Any questions or concerns from the board? I think it's great. I also have had great experiences with therapy dogs, so thank you.
So I have a question for
Yeah.
you, Chris. And this may be that it could have just possibly been an attachment issue. All I am seeing with the agenda is the administrative regulation. I didn't see the policy. Was that not attached with it? Because you're talking about the policy, so I'm guessing that the policy did.
Oh, the AR is what's attached. Yeah, it's the policy that's been
So
revised.
we're gonna need to bring that back. I never even saw the policy and I was, I was looking for information on that.
Wait, no, sorry, it is the AR. Yeah, no,
Is the
yeah,
AR.
sorry, Debbie, you confused me. It is the AR. This is what needed to be revised. So I looked at our existing policy. So if you pull it up, I'll walk you through it. Okay, so
AR.
all this is existing language. We've already allowed service dog in training. We had an amazing student who proposed this to Sean and I last year. It was a student, the family was the puppy raiser. The dog, I'll leave the student's name out. The dog's name was Valor, about 4 months out of formal training. The way these programs work is the puppies must be socialized. So when I was a puppy raiser for Canine Companions, I had to raise that lab puppy from 8 weeks old all the way up until about 18 months. You're attending trainings, you're learning how to formalize their commands, you're on a strict timeline. There's a lot of rules you got to follow. But the priority is to socialize those dogs. So we've already had that. We've already had a policy that allows legitimate service dogs because it's unlawful if we didn't, right? Where I wanted to address the social emotional support dogs is embedded. So if you scroll down, you'll see social emotional support dogs or therapy dogs. And again, I wanted to formalize this and give it some clear criteria so that anybody who requests or would like to bring in a social emotional support dog, it's very clear that the dogs will be from one of these organizations: Canine Companions, Guide Dogs for the Blind, Bergen College of Canine Studies, and the newer program that is maybe 5 years old or so is PAWS, as loving support, known as PALS. So these will be taken on a case-by-case basis. The primary function of this is going to be so Sheila can work with dog handlers from these organizations, bring them in and direct them to the different programs or classrooms that could really benefit from having that social emotional support. Sorry for the confusion.
Right, because
There is no BP on this. It's all AR.
there is one in our manual. There is a board policy in our manual. So that's why I was wondering.
But it
But
wouldn't
now-
have been an appropriate place for this. It's pretty generic in that regard.
It doesn't need to change.
No.
That still allows
Yeah.
for it. And
I'm looking at them right now. There's no
Animals
BP.
at school is the BP you're referencing, not animals at school or service animals in training. So it was most appropriate to build this into the service animals in training board policy.
Okay, because in the narrative, it says that the reason that we're reviewing this is because there were new laws that came into play. And I don't know if that was boiler template letter.
That's boilerplate for all BP and AR updates.
Right.
So I wanted to give you more specific information for this item because it was of interest for
Because
our
we're
new wellness
changing,
coordinator.
we're changing our policy.
The AR is what's
Right.
being presented to the board.
Right.
So I'd like to ask if there's any other questions, and I'd really like to give Sheila the green light to start working with these animals and these dog handlers. And my recommendation is that the board approve this revised policy and waive the second reading.
We have board policy that we have to bring it back on consent for we can't waive a second reading, but we can bring it back at the first March meeting.
On consent.
On consent.
That's what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Do we need to vote on that?
No.
Okay. Sure.
Can you use the microphone for the audience at home? I know, but they can't hear you and they text me.
It's good they didn't hear that. I'm reading this and it's set, I'm just picturing my own classroom and having a service dog in there. And I don't have an allergy to one, but I have mixed feelings about a social emotional animal being in some of our classrooms. And this says that a staff member's fear of a service animal is not an appropriate reason to not have that animal. It must be an allergy or health related reason. So I just,
Well, Lily, I'll clarify. That's the language for service animal. This is social emotional support. And so
they're two different things.
they are two different things. Service animal is it's a lawful thing. This is not a lawful thing.
ACEs.
Yep. Thank you.
Service animal, our hands become very tied legally.
Anything else? Okay, first reading of supplementary textbooks for English.
Let me get my bearings back. So we bring all the novels forward to the board and we keep a detailed record on those novels and they go through the textbook process. So this supplementary text was brought before the district by the department chair, and these books are now on display. Will be on display beginning February 16th, forgive me. And I'd like to see if you have any questions. These will be supplementary text used throughout the English department. Great English curriculum is built on novels. Standards are taught through the novels. So having a variety of supplemental text to choose from that align with the specific standards, or maybe even the specific type of class, since we've got some really creative English classes. I support these proposed texts.
Any questions or concerns?
I only have one comment, that our board meeting isn't until tonight and it's coming before us, yet it states here that the 14 days began the 16th. That's a little kind of fishy. It probably shouldn't start till after we have the board meeting.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
But I mean, maybe I'm splitting hairs, but next time maybe
Fair.
let somebody know that.
You got it.
I need to read more
Okay, well, this is coming back. This is a first reading.
comments.
Any other
Okay, anything
questions?
else? All right. Consideration of approval of vote in California School Board Association Subregion 3A, Sonoma County 2024 Delegate Assembly Election. There are two candidates.
I would like to nominate Jeremy Brott as our nominee. I've known Jeremy for 16 years and he is a very worthy candidate. He actually serves as the District 3 representative currently.
Do I have a?
We need a second.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do I have a second? Okay.
And
Louis, any?
I do. I was going to nominate, or move that we nominate Stephanie Manieri.
Okay, well, we
she's
have to vote on this one first, I think, but go
Right, but
ahead
I
and
can-
say what you
yeah,
want to say.
yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
so that we have some context around that. Yeah, I know who Jeremy is, and I think it's great. I don't have anything against the work that he has done. Stephanie is on the Santa Rosa City Schools Board. She has a lot of experience with equity work, and I think that it's nice to have a little bit of a shift. I mean, I don't know what other districts are doing, but if we're making a choice, it's nice to have some rotation in something like this, and to have somebody to be able to go to the CSBA delegate and learn and bring things back. I often think, where Santa Rosa goes, all of Sonoma County goes, and I just really think that to bring that kind of work, and if she's willing to step up and go to the state and learn things to bring back to Santa Rosa City Schools and represent our area, I think that she would make a very good candidate. She is articulate, and she represents the largest district in Sonoma County.
Okay, we need to vote on Jeremy Brott first. So those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Okay, it fails. Who would like to make a new motion?
I'd like to move that we nominate Stephanie, or that we vote for Stephanie Manieri for representation for subregion 3A.
And I need a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Aye. Okay, so that passes for Stephanie. Okay, human resources. Consideration of approval of monthly personnel report. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the monthly personnel report.
I'll second.
Okay, thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I have two additions, and they're both resignations. The first one is from Martine Morano, who is one of our special ed teachers with the consortium. And the other one is Titi Ruwaka, who is our ASL teacher. And they're both going to be resigned. They resigned at the end of the school year. They'll be here with us through the end of the school year.
Any questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Consideration of approval revisions to the Executive Director of Human Resources job description. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the Executive Director of HR job description.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Chris?
So these revisions reflect the language that was included in the posting, specifically around the administrative credential requirement and some of the desired qualifications for the position.
Any questions from the board?
I guess this is really more of a comment. I can't really, at this stage, it's a little bit behind the ball to be bringing this to the board. The position has already been flown. We've already received applicants. It's closed. All I would like to say is that in the future, if we are going to be making significant changes to a job description, if we could please have that come to the board before all of those steps take, because at this point, this is sort of, it's a ratification. We can't not pass this. It's already flown. And we have an obligation to, look at how resources are spent here in the district and what kinds of staffing decisions we're making on when it's on a big scale like that. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to bring it to us after it's already happened. But I'm not going to object to it today.
I have one comment and just one thing, Mia, we are going to really miss you, and you've just been an incredible value to our district, and I just want to say that. And also, I think that the job description changes are really positive. The only thing I would like to add, if possible, is that the HR person make a presentation to the board. I know it's expected, but it's not listed anywhere there, and I was wondering if that could be added.
Well, I think the governing board needs to vote on the job description. So I would propose that bullet point reports to the superintendent, because it's struck through Board of Trustees, and that was a little misleading in terms of who the HR director reports to. Regarding human resources issues, including employment, promotion, and status of all district personnel, provide ongoing reports or ongoing presentations to the board. I think that's implied in an executive director position, a cabinet level position, but should that be desired by the board, I'd be happy to add that, but we need to capture that in the notes and make sure that the board understands the job description that they're approving.
I would like that added, even though it seems obvious right now, it might not always be. And because there's nothing in the description that says the HR person would make a presentation to the board each month, I would like that included.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea to have it state something about an ongoing monthly reporting process to the board, something like that. I think that'd be a really good idea.
Understood. So I'll add language that following that sentence and provides ongoing presentations to the Board of Trustees.
That would be totally acceptable.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Any other comments, questions? Okay. Let's, where am I? I got lost.
Need to vote on it.
Okay, so we need to vote. Right, we don't need a roll call vote on that, right?
But you need a new motion with the edit.
Oh, we need a new motion because it was changed. That's true.
You just need to amend your motion with those changes.
Well, who made the motion? Wasn't me.
Was it me? So I'm happy to make, to amend my motion to include those changes.
Did I second? I don't know who did. I'll second that. Lois seconded.
Oh, I forgot.
Will you second
I
this one?
second. I re-second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right. Now I'm on track. Okay. Facilities maintenance and technology. Okay. How do I say this name?
Site Logic.
Okay. Energy manager presentation on the energy efficiency of the district.
Thank you. We've got Rylan here with us tonight, joining us virtually. He's in the background there somewhere. You can go
Hello,
ahead.
everyone. I don't know if you can all hear me or not.
Yeah.
We can. I'm gonna put your presentation up here.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to scare you.
So without further ado, he's gonna give us a really nice, why isn't my thingy? He's going to give us a report here on our energy efficiency in the district. He's been our energy manager for the last 3 years. We've had a couple of different grants that helped us pay for him. And he does a really good job of capturing all the really amazing things that we've done and all the savings that we've had for all those measures that we've put into place. And so I'm just going to let him take the presentation and just let me know when you want to switch slides there, Rylan.
Yeah, perfect. You can just go to the next slide and we'll go through the agenda real quick. I know we're pressed for time, so I won't slack off here. But hello, everyone. My name is Rylan. I'm the energy engineer over here at SiteLogic. Some of you may have met me. I've been on site the last few years doing the site walks. So if you ever see some guy walking around with a clipboard, that may have been me doing the energy audits. We do those annually. But I just kind of wanted to give a brief description and walkthrough of the energy management program and kind of the benefits of that have just been seen in the last, I believe 5 years ago is when we had originally started. I hadn't been on your contract until the last 3, but with SiteLogic, I think you guys have been in contract for the last 5 years. Just wanted to show you kind of the benefits of that. So as you can see by the agenda, I'm just going to briefly talk about some rate increases from PG&E. I'm sure you're all aware, seeing those PG&E bills kind of stack up compared to last year. You can go to the next slide here. So just a brief overview, you can see compared to 2017, we've pretty much doubled in utility costs. This is just electrical costs. This is not natural gas, but natural gas has seen a significant increase as well. But the more significant piece of this is just from basically December 31st of 2023 to January 1st, 2024, we saw a significant 32% increase in cost. So it's a huge increase from PG&E. This is them putting a tax basically on all of their mishaps. And unfortunately, all the customers of them have to pay for it. So this is a significant time to reduce whenever and wherever we can. So I just kind of want to walk you through this. And even though we're working against these increasing rates, we're still seeing savings throughout the district. You can go to the next slide, please. So this is just a brief overview and snapshot of the current fiscal year. So from July 2023 all the way through the end of the year of December 2023. You can see just by those orange arrows that we've decreased by 8% from the previous year, which we were already decreasing significantly from the baseline year, which was 2018, 2019, but we're 8% down from that. And we've actually seen a significant cost reduction. This is due to offsetting some demand charges and a lot of other things that none of you will ever have to think about ever again. But just so you know that we're reducing in both cases, even though these increasing rates are pretty significant. So compared to last year, we had a significant drop of about $20,000 in the same time frame. You can go to the next slide. Perfect. And then a little bit more detail. This is just from electrical compared to the previous fiscal years. The graphic is from our energy dashboard. If any of you have ever looked at it, that's kind of what you will see. But just comparing the baseline year, so the year right before SiteLogic started working with the district, and then the most current full fiscal year of 22-23, we've reduced overall usage by 14%. Utility rates even increased a little bit more than 26%. That's more of an average. And we've still decreased electrical costs by 24%. That was also due to demand offsets and a little bit more of a solar impact, but that's a significant change, and we don't see that in all of our districts. But working with yours has been a treat because most of the recommendations we offer, the district takes into account. You can go to the next slide. This is basically the same exact slide, but for natural gas. You can see the time frame on the right is 2018-19 for July to December to the most current fiscal year. And we wanted to show that snapshot because we did have a pretty significant spike in natural gas last year. And we have since corrected that after meeting with the M&O department and kind of figuring out what the issue is, identifying it and addressing it. And you can see that significant drop I mean, we've dropped 30% in usage, and the cost only dropped 2% due to that 40% increase in or in utility rates. So it's a significant time to actually reduce the overall usage for the district, and you guys are doing a great job at it. You can go to the next slide. And then I did want to do a little snapshot on the solar program, because you guys have a system that's working really well, and it's actually, I just want to show you where the district's money went, and it's not going to waste. So you can see from the start of the program in 2018-19, it was starting up. It was at about 62% when we first started working with you guys. And since then, it's been above 74%, which is a great place to be. That's pretty significant for the district's overall usage offset. And you can see down at the bottom, that 74.4% is the total percentage of electricity that the districts used in that time frame. So from 2018 to 2024, 74% of the total energy used at the site has been from solar. So that's a great offset for you guys. And to put a monetary value on it, you can go to the next slide. So we have basically based off of what you guys do pay per year, and then what that estimated value would be without solar. You can see your guys' estimated savings are close to $2 million, just starting from, what is that, July 2017 all the way through, I believe I went up to June of 2023. So that's a significant amount of savings for the district in a pretty short period of time.
And that's actually a much higher number because, as you guys know, the system's been in place far longer than we've had an energy manager. I believe
Exactly.
our solar system went online in 2011-12. Predates me. So that's just me going back on record. So that's just what we know based on the data that we've collected since we've been working with SiteLogic.
Exactly. And this also shows that even a system at that age, it's still producing at a significant rate, and it hasn't degraded a significant amount. And you guys are still seeing the fruits of your labor that happened, what was that, 10 years ago now. So we also do, I know the district is pretty keen on the environmental impact of this as well. And you can go on to the next slide. This is from our energy dashboard. If any of you have ever looked at it, it basically equates all of the savings from basically working with us and reducing over the years, what that equates to in CO2 released into the environment. So whether that's gallons of gasoline burned, diesel consumed, how many homes were powered for a year. This is all based off of one singular year comparison. So this is the fiscal year 22-23 compared to the baseline. So this does stack over time. So each fiscal year is going to have similar numbers to this. So you can see even from starting with us, it's going to be about 4x, 5x these numbers. So just to give you a kind of a little bit more detail and information on kind of the environmental impact that the district's actually seeing from working with us. And also, if anybody, I always offer my services as kind of a teaching method, or if anybody just has more questions or information that you would like about the energy program, I'd be happy to answer. The energy dashboard is an amazing tool to use, and it's kind of open to whoever the district kind of wants to have access to it. So if anybody wants more information, I'd be happy to go through a demo on the dashboard. Obviously, time does not permit it today, but if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to offer my services.
And our data dashboard's on our website, and there are a few teachers who regularly access it for educational classroom purposes, I presume.
Any questions?
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
It's just really important that we bring this back on an annual basis so that we can kind of capture the good work that we've done. We spent a lot of money, and I think the community really deserves to know, like, our solar array system has saved our general fund, you know, based on this report, close to $2 million. That was, if those measures hadn't been put in place, we would be really feeling the effects of the massive rate increases from PG&E on a general fund level. And as we have discussed with the board previously, you set some benchmarks for us to try to achieve relative to designing to lead standards. Currently, Title 24 kind of meets and exceeds portions of that. California has some of the strictest energy codes out there. The schools are not exempt from that. And as we build and modernize new facilities, we'll only be adding more solar to the campus. It will be a consideration in the coming years about I don't know what to call it. I've never done a solar modernization, but we'll have to refresh our panels and consider what next gen looks like. They're doing really well right now. So this is just a lot of good information to showcase all the really amazing efforts that we've had and advantages we've taken from Prop 39 funds, lighting efficiency projects, and there are continued measures that we can do to reduce plug load and maybe some levels of comfort if we wanted to go a little bit further through like turn it off programs. But I feel like we're doing really well right now.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you, Ryland, for being here and presenting all that detailed data and helping
Yeah,
me
thank you.
report.
Thank you, everybody, for giving me a chance.
Jenny, in the business, they like to call it truing your system.
Copy that. Did not know that. I learned something today. Thank you.
Okay, we are on consideration of approval of resolution number 6, February 2023-24, designating specific materials, products, things, or services for use at multiple district project sites pursuant to Public Contract Code Section 3400C1 and C2. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Go ahead.
So I've talked to you guys a little bit about this in previous meetings. We are asking you to adopt a district standard with a roofing product called Garland. It's used on predominant areas of our campus already, and it just allows us to have some consistency across all of our building roofing systems with respect to built-up roofs, single ply, all the good things. With respect to the locks, since we don't have a district standard and we're kind of deviating from that, our legal team is recommending that we do a trial, and that if we are happy with that trial, we would bring back a recommendation to adopt a district standard in terms of locks and all the wonderful accessories that go along with that. And so this document was prepared and written by our legal team and vetted through them. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or concerns? I like the whole lock business.
I know you do. It's
Since
coming.
my
This is the first step.
board meeting.
This is the first step in that.
Okay, I need a roll call vote. Debbie.
Aye.
Jeannie.
Aye.
Sean.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay. Consideration of approval of resolution number 7, February 2023-24, allowing district administration to submit an application to the California Energy Commission for the California Schools Healthy Air, Plumbing, and Efficiency Program. I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Sean. Go ahead.
This is exactly as presented. We're going after some money. And I'd like you to let us go after that money. And I'm happy to answer any questions. This really puts us in line for, I don't really care for this particular portion of the program because I think it's redundant, but we have to do it because it's part of the regulatory process. I want to go for the second round of funding where it's paying for the HVAC replacements. And it would actually allow us to reimburse. You have to go through this step first to get the reimbursement, and we could very well get reimbursed on all the projects that we're currently working on, which would put money back into our bond program and allow those bond dollars to get freed up in another way. We do not know when that second round of funding is coming, but this is the first step. So we're going to go through some ridiculous hoops, but okay.
Any questions, concerns? I need a roll call vote. Debbie?
Aye.
Jeannie?
Hi.
Sean?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Aye. Consideration of approval of professional services contract with Gutman and.
Gutman and Blavowit.
Okay. For commissioning services for project AA36 new CTE classroom buildings at Annalee High School. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
So again, this is exactly as presented. We're required per California Building Code to hire a commissioning agent. That's somebody who makes sure all the functional pieces of the building function outside of the architect and the contractor. And there's matrix and processes that they have to meet. This is for any building over 10,000 square feet. And our new CTE facilities will be over that amount. So this proposal is being presented so that we can include them in the design development phase, which is when we need to bring them on to this project. And we're about 50% of our way through that right now.
Any questions? Go ahead, Lewis.
So it's $70,000. I'm sorry, it's $70,000. Do you have a sense of like what a competitive bid would be like? Do you?
Nobody else responded.
So they could name whatever number they wanted, kind of.
It's an RFP process. So we issue out an RFP and people, it's a blind RFP. So it's kind of like a bid day open for them. And with respect to professional services, you don't have to take the lowest bid necessarily. A lot of times that is the way people go, but nobody else responded to our RFP request. So this is our vendor. Their services, the two other people that we asked are outside the area. This is still kind of a new world because it's relatively new law. It's only been around for the last 5 or 6 years. And most firms, mechanical engineering firms do it, but our mechanical engineering firm cannot compete against themselves. So you don't get a lot of responses in this regard because people either want to just do mechanical or commissioning. So we didn't have any other responders. We did ask and they chose not to respond for whatever reason.
What's your gut sense about 70,000 as the amount, given the amount of work that it is to do? They've really restricted it down to just the commissioning of the necessary systems.
Just the regulatory requirements. I mean, it's basically a T&M contract, which is time and materials. So I think their pricing is competitive. Gutman and Blavowich is local, so we're not paying for anybody to come from outside the area. It's kind of hard when we only get one response for us to have any kind of competitive piece. But from our legal's perspective, we have done our due diligence.
We're probably lucky we got one.
I begged them.
Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Reluctantly.
I get it. I want to see lots of less.
Measure A bond and budget project updates.
I'm not going to pull up the website for everybody. It's always in my board item, and it's also available on our website. Don't have a lot of updates here for you guys. Between December, January, and February, those are really slow months for us. We're still waiting for our majority of our roofing HVAC projects here at the Annalee campus to get DSA approval. With respect to the Annalee main building and all those projects, we're in the process of the lease back RFP, request for proposals. We've received 6 proposals from contractors. We reviewed those proposals. We narrowed it down to 3 contractors that we interviewed. We interviewed them last week. And the goal was to present a recommendation tonight. based on how well everybody did and how tight of a margin it was. I didn't feel comfortable writing my board report without asking some additional and clarifying questions of those contractors. So the goal would be to bring back a recommendation on it's March 6th, correct? Our next board meeting for that process. We don't feel that the loss of 2 weeks is going to preclude it, the main building HVAC project, from still being a viable construction project. That's pretty much the biggest update, other than the items before you tonight, which kind of let us go forward with CalShape, which is new. We're in full-on design development with the CTE new building. We met with them last week and went over interior colors and fixtures. It's kind of the funnest part for us. We gave them some comments and recommendations. They're going to come back. We're going to meet with the committee and go over a couple different color scheme recommendations. And that's what will get presented to the board for your guys' review and approval at the end of the DD phase. What else? We completed the Forestville Building C HVAC and roofing project. The roofing project was already finished. We had been waiting for the HVAC equipment that was installed over the holidays. We've punched out that project and filed the notice of completion, and we're finalizing the paperwork, the Division of State Architects. That'll move off this list onto the completed projects list, which is always a win for me because then it's less I have to look at. What else? No new information on the Sunset Taft project. The projects that you guys approved in December for the phase round 2 priorities, those projects have already, we've had meetings with 3 out of 4 of the groups. We have a meeting with the cafeteria team next week, so Andrew and Jessica will be there to meet with our architects. So we're well into the schematic phase. The PE and athletics department meeting went really, really well. So did video production and meeting with the science teachers. Talk about science teachers were really ready. I wasn't at the meeting, but Denise told me they took the plans that we gave them and they drew their own plans. And the architects were like, what do we even need to be here for? So it was a really, really great meeting, and those projects are going along really well. We're excited to be able to present something to you at the second meeting in June to determine how we're going to move forward. That is my report for tonight.
Any questions? No, we're good. Okay. Consideration of approval of the district-wide comprehensive safety plan for 2023-2024. Can I have a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve the 2023-24 comprehensive district-wide safety plan.
And a second?
Second.
Okay.
So as you guys know, I present this item around this time every year. We're required by law to have the board review and approve the comprehensive safety plan prior to March 1st of every year. The comprehensive safety plan, I just want to remind you, is made up a lot of different things, from data analysis, child abuse reporting procedures, disaster response, suspension and expulsion, procedures for notifying teachers of dangerous pupils, discrimination and harassment, school-wide dress code, safe ingress egress, ensuring safe and orderly environment, rules and procedures on school discipline, tactical response, bullying prevention, monitoring and communicating the plan. It's a gigantic plan that has 2 components that deal with campus-wide safety. So a lot of this is board policy, administrative regulation that's linked throughout here in each of those sections. We update the individual schools' student handbook, as well as the parental annual notification document, along with each of the school site-specific emergency plans, along with our tactical response plans. And if you have a district email, you can access all of these documents. If you are outside of our district, you cannot access any of our tactical or emergency response plans. I think last year you guys wanted access to that. So as long as you're logged in with your school email. You can and look over those documents. We're also required to notify both municipalities that we work with. So we work with Sonoma County Fire, Sebastopol Fire, Sebastopol Police, the Sheriff's Department. We also work with the county and the city officials here. We have to send those documents out to all of those people. We have received responses back from Sonoma County Fire, who had some suggestions and edits. We've adopted those suggestions and edits and put them in there. We had a wrong phone number and a couple little tweaks of different people that we should be contacting. We have yet to hear back from Sebastopol Fire and Sebastopol Police, but they've got some new people in roles who maybe just be taking a little bit longer. We typically don't hear from City Council and we don't hear from the county. So I am happy to answer questions. I think I gave you in my write-up the areas that we updated, and I'm happy to answer questions. Oh, we also went to Annalise Site Council. I'm like a multiple people over here. It was me. I went to the Site Council and I presented this to the Annalise Site Council, and they had a lot of great questions. We had a parent there, a student there, several teachers. I sent them this document so that they can include it in their WASC. It is posted on our website, but the teacher who had the questions didn't realize that. And I'll be meeting with Laguna's Site Council, I believe, next week.
Any questions or concerns? I just want to say one thing the closet really helps with is when there is dress code violations. Just so you know, the kids don't have to go home or parents call, they can go to the closet and fix those. And the dress code is quite different than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
But just saying. Okay. That's all I have to say. We can vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consideration of a facility use agreement with Sonoma Earth School for use of the Laguna High School campus in the event of an emergency and their campus cannot be used. I need a motion. And can somebody second?
I'll second.
Okay.
So this is a little bit different. This is not a lease agreement or a license agreement. It's a facility use process that we normally go through. However, given its unique nature, I felt compelled to speak with Chris, and we both agreed that this is something that the board should consider. If it's approved tonight, then we would go through the normal facility use processes for them to use the facility versus a license agreement like we have with the preschool or regional parks or Sonoma County Library. Just because this is such an odd request, they reached out to us last year during their inclement weather, and we weren't in a position to even go there. And they reached out again this year. And so we've been trying to figure out the best way to massage through this. They only want to use the school if in the event that they can't access their own school. And I want to be very clear about that. They're not looking to move here. They're happy at their current location. They're an interesting school. They said, all we need is a room and we'll make it work. You know, they were said, could you just give us a space outside? And I laughed. I said, no, let's figure this out. So I'm presenting this before you tonight. They seem like such a lovely school, and I just really want to keep their kids engaged. They've had to close school in the last year and a half, 12 different times. And I think I presented the information about their student makeup, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead, Jeannie.
So where is this school located?
Great question. I don't know the answer to that one. I think they're off the beaten path. Hold on, I'm going to look it up. That, I don't know where that is.
Know where that is? Okay.
Thank you.
I know
Oh,
where that is.
yeah.
And are they looking then, currently there's a lot of empty space there. And so it makes sense, facility use agreement, we're going to use it, you know, there's bad weather forecast, you know, we'd like to rent that. But there isn't any sort of information in the item. And I'm wondering what they're looking for. Are they looking for like an ongoing guarantee that the space would be available for them?
They're looking for an option to keep their facilities open. What I told them is if we're closed, they can't operate on our facilities. So if we're accessible, open, and they can't get to their facility, we see no reason why we couldn't house them. The particulars that make the most sense for me in conversations with Chris and with Greg is isolating them from the rest of the campus. So if there's a space where we can make sure that they have private access to a male and female restroom for both staff and students, and that they're not necessarily intermingling with our students, that would be the most advantageous. They're not wanting to do this as a long-term effort. The minute they can get back on their campus, they want to be back there with all their resources. This is really intended for them to serve their students and their families during a time when which they would otherwise have to close school.
And as long as we don't have programming there. So say we
Correct.
start some programming there, they wouldn't say, oh, but you can't kick us out now. They'll
No, this would be on I think I clarified that in the item. I can't remember.
I couldn't find it.
Where it would be evaluated on a case by case basis.
All right.
I thought I put that in.
You
there.
might have.
And Jenny, for the board, can you just clarify the district's liability and how this would, where this would fall?
For clarification, in the second paragraph, I said each instance of use would be evaluated on a case-by-case basis and follow the same process as any outside facility use requested by the community, consistent with board policy 1330, use of school facilities. So I just want to make sure every person who requests our facilities, it's reviewed. We discuss it with if there's a need to discuss it with anyone. And we make sure that there's nothing on the calendar that would be conflicting. Like if we were posting in the library, because we've identified the library area might be really good for them, interviews or a meeting. And then the district requires for all facility use general liability insurance of 1 million, 2 million excess. They've already provided us with that certificate of insurance that names the district as additional insured. And that's part of our process. We would set them up with what we call our FMX account as our facility management system. And basically we would work a little bit differently. They would contact us upon use. We'd clear that and then we'd secure it through our system and then we'd bill them.
Any other questions, concerns?
Just wanted to add, kind of my support for this and looking at how we've discussed utilizing the Laguna campus to build on the community resources that are already there. And so when Jenny floated this my way, I think anytime we can be of service to the community, still prioritizing our students and programs. So I appreciate the question regarding what the future may look like. So it aligns with the 4 pillars of a community school. And it's obviously, as Jenny indicated, when needed, case by
Yeah,
case.
and very clear, whenever we close our campuses, we cancel all facility use. So we contact all of our, much to their chagrin, they're like, why can't we come out and practice soccer? We're like, because our facilities are closed. And if they're closed to our students, that means that we're deeming them not safe for anyone to be at. And so that would be, we would follow that same and normal procedure. And sometimes those decisions are made very early in the morning, like 4 a.m.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That's it. Our meeting is done. Thank you all for coming.